पेशन नंबर 2 बिल 2022 पर अब तक माननीय 24 सदस्य बोल चुके हैं। लगभग 4 घंटे 7 मिनट की बहस हो चुकी है। अब माननीय मंत्री जी का रिप्लाई हो। माननीय मंत्री जी।
Thank you, sir. So we are discussing since last 2 days the Jammu Kashmir Appropriation Bill and also the Jammu Kashmir Appropriation Bill number 2, both relating to J&K's budget for the year. There has been an emphasis on the larger context of the budget being presented here, and also the need for the Legislative Assembly to actually discuss it so that there's representation on matters related to the budget, the taxation in particular. Whilst the points are very well taken, and I thank all the 24 members who have spoken with great interest in the activities which are being undertaken by the government in J&K, political activities, and also the economic activities. The economic activities are there for everyone to see as much as the political activity in the context of the delimitation exercise which is going on is being undertaken with all the stakeholders actively engaging with the authorities. So with certainty and also with a sense of rapidity, both the economic and also the political activities are happening, and for everyone to not just see but also to participate. And therefore, in the context of post 370, Article 370, the concerns expressed by the honorable members and also the activities which are getting represented in the various budgetary allocations, where the context of the discussion and the content of the discussions as well. I thank again all the 24 members who participated in the discussion, and whilst I give an overall sense of what is happening through the budget, I also will address some of the concerns raised by the members, which are on the political side of things. As one of our honorable members did happen to state, the discussion went on to talk about many other things which may be core to the political economic situation prevailing in the state, but it was relatively lesser on the budget and more on the other things. That's well taken as well. Sir, post 370, many of the members have referred to the fact that about 890 central laws have now become active in the state, and they've become applicable to J&K as well. Whilst it's been applicable as and when the law has been passed in the parliament, the entire country benefited from it, but J&K has started getting benefit of it post removal of 370. And many of the unjust and discriminatory laws have also been, at the state level, have also been removed. Through 250 state laws have been completely repealed, and 130 state laws have been modified. The various impediments which prevailed in the state for industrial development have also been removed, and the industrial promotion scheme of J&K given by Government of India has opened new doors for the development in J&K. I was happy to hear from both the MOS Home and also from MOS Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs. Both speak on how even a delegation from the Gulf Cooperation countries are at the moment, even as we are discussing these issues, are in J&K looking at possibilities of increasing their investment propositions. So the activity and the pace at which the activities for bringing investment, greater job opportunities, and also providing the political representation is going on. Importantly, sir, all of us have over the decades spoken about Article 73, 73rd and the 73rd and 74th Amendment to the Parliament Constitution, and as a result of which, most of us see how the third layer of our democracy is getting represented by people from all backgrounds at the panchayat level. However, this level of democracy going down to the roots of the system and to the level of the villages was not available in J&K. So it is only after removal of Article 370, and particularly now this implementation of the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act has been made effective, and that has created an environment through which you find that the three-tier democracy revolution is actually now happening. And for the first time, there are over 30,000 grassroots level elected members in J&K, which is made possible now after the removal of 370. Also, in the name of devolution, which should actually happen in most of the states, 27 functions have been transferred to the PRIs, and 7 departments have been transferred to the urban local bodies. These are certain concrete developments post the removal of Article 370. So, looking at what is prevailing post the pandemic and after the availability of the vaccines, all states have undertaken measures to ensure that vaccines are available for all their citizens. And now that we're talking about J&K budget and J&K health situations and the provisions made for health in the budget, it's important here to record that 100% COVID vaccination of all the eligible population has been achieved in J&K, 100%. And to add to this, 2 500-bed hospitals, COVID hospitals, one each in Jammu and the other in Srinagar, have been established, and this has been done by the DRDO. Because of the sense of urgency with which the hospitals had to be made, the DRDO, the Defense Research Development Organization, was brought in, and they have created the 2 500-bed each capacity hospital in Jammu and in Srinagar. So even on the quick necessary steps which have to be taken for the sake of the pandemic have also been taken with complete participation and also reaching and saturating on the vaccine. So the sense of security about which many of the honorable members voiced their concern, I just want to very quickly recall the kind of developments which have happened in terms of disturbances to the law and order, terrorist activities, and its impact on the economy. In 2021, the kind of figures we've achieved, I want to show that there has been an overall decline in such activities which disturb peace. There's been a 33% drop in infiltration, 51 in 2020 versus 34 in 2021. So 33% drop in infiltration, 90% decrease in ceasefire violations, 937 in 2020 versus 98 in 2021. 61% decline in terrorism-related incidents, where in 2020 we had 244, in 2021 we've had 229. 80% decline in abductions by terrorists. Again, abductions in 2020 were 10, and in 2021 are just 2. 33% decline again in number of police and security personnel who were martyred. 63 it was in 2020 versus 42 it was in 2021. And number of active terrorists from 222 on as of 1st January 2021 to a reduction and coming down to the figure of 188 in January 1st, 2022. So there was no incident of weapon snatching in 2021 and even in 2022 as far as now. So if these are showing decline in those kind of activities which have troubled the JNK for a very long time, post Article 370 removal and in 2021 in particular, this is the statistics which I would like to place before this Honorable House. So terrorists being neutralized, active terrorists being neutralized is also a very important in this index on the basis of which we assess what prevails in JNK. 180 terrorists, 148 of them being locals and 32 being foreigners, including 44 top commanders were eliminated in 2021. They were completely eliminated. And about 38 terrorists, 28 of them locals and 10 of them foreigners, have been eliminated this year only up till now in total of 24 anti-terrorist operations. So that's the second level of data that I want to provide. The decline in those activities was the first. Second is neutralization of terrorists. And third, recruitment into terror ranks, which is also worried and bothered all of us about the youth in JNK. Is their recruitment increasing or what is the situation on that? There's been a 16% decline, sir, in terror recruitment. 164 was it in 2020, and in 2021 it's come down to 138. About 24 youth who have joined terror ranks in 2022 so far, in comparison to 26 in corresponding period of 2021. Attracting investments are happening. So one thing which is very important when very many members spoke about inclusion, are all the benefits reaching everybody, is the common man being included in the so-called announcement which are coming, were the words which very many honorable members spoke, and that is a genuine concern and I would like to address it. Prior to the abrogation of Article 370, sir, several communities were denied benefits. They were not given the right to vote for their assembly, which is a very important right in a democracy. No permanent resident status was given to them. They were not eligible for government jobs, and they were not eligible for admission in professional colleges, and they could not own land. Who were these people? Displaced persons of Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir and Cham. They were denied all this. They were not allowed to vote for the assembly prior to 370 removal, no permanent resident status, and they were not eligible for government jobs, not even eligible to own a piece of land. So these were the realities of Jammu Kashmir before Article 370 was abrogated. So were the West Pakistani refugees, also denied these rights. And I did mention this once earlier, and it is worth mentioning here because many of us honestly and earnestly believe benefits must reach, and that was the constitution given by Dr. Ambedkar. Benefits must reach those sections which have been very much denied of so much of socio-economic developments and benefits. And post 1947, since 1950 January, that is what has been implemented in every part of the country, whereas that was denied in JNK. Valmikis and Safai Karmacharis have never received any of the benefits which rest of the country happily and rightly provides them. That was denied in JNK. So it is only after the abrogation of 370 these benefits have reached them. In fact, I can give you exact numbers. Displaced persons of Pakistan occupied JNK and Cham, 41,684 families have been given the benefits. They have been given financial assistance of 5.50 lakh per family under the PMDP, the development program of 2015. Reservations in direct recruitment and admissions in various institutions for residents, particularly at the international border, who are mostly people from Pakistan-occupied J&K and also from charmed regions, have all been given these assistance, and their total, as I said a minute ago, is 41,684 families who did not have it any time before the abrogation. So are the West Pakistani refugees, sir. Again, for them, 5.50 lakh per family has been given as financial assistance, eligible for all the domicile certificates which they never had earlier. They are now eligible for government jobs and other benefits. And how many such families? 5,764 families, West Pakistani refugees, have been given these benefits. Sir, I did mention about the Valmikis and Safai Karmacharis. 2,840 domicile certificates have been issued so far to the Valmikis, and eligibility certificates for them being recipients of the domicile certificates. Thereby, we are opening doors for their appointment in government jobs and other facilities. Have all been extended. And I'm sure the August House will be very happy to know that if the deterrent all the while, all the 6 decades, all the while was the article, prevalence of Article 370, its abrogation has immediately brought these benefits to all these people, and that is what I'm sure will make the Parliament of India absolutely gratified about the fact that removal of Article 370 has actually meant benefit to those who so deserved it for so many years. Sir, specific questions related to some of the issues in the budget were raised. Broadly, the question was, how is it that the revenue expenditure decreased, particularly for very many important activities, public works or public health engineering department and so on? I just want to highlight the fact, as a part of the administrative reforms which have been undertaken in J&K, the hospitality department saw minus 4.72 decrease in revenue expenditure. Public Works Department saw a minus 8.76% decrease in their revenue expenditure. Public Health Engineering Department saw a minus 1.42%. But all these are part of an administrative expenditure and expenditure reforms which were undertaken. But the capital expenditure on these heads and on other heads as well have only increased and not decreased. And I'm sure members do understand that increasing on capital expenditure is far more constructive and productive, as it would go for building permanent assets, and decrease in revenue expenditure is a desirable norm, particularly because after a point, the returns on every additional penny spent or every additional rupee spent on revenue expenditure is not going to be comparable with what you get from capital expenditure. So the capital expenditure increase has happened 282% in public health engineering. Disaster management and relief saw 390% increase. Irrigation flood control saw 60% increase. Agriculture saw 26%. Industry saw 33%. Education saw 18%. And tourism saw 10%. Health education, of course, 13%, and culture 18%. So the decrease in capital budget in respect of health department is due to also I'm talking of the health department's capital expenditure in one head coming down, and that one head is the PMDP 2015 works. They've all been completed, and obviously, therefore, on that head, more could not be given. And COVID-related activities and 300 crores under the World Bank aided scheme are all come to a completion. So obviously, new provision this year couldn't have been made. And also in the Public Works Department, there is one head which saw a decrease in the capital allocation, and that is because GSY, the Gram Sadak Yojana, second phase has come to a conclusion. On that head, therefore, there will naturally be a decrease. So on the employment aspects, lots of members, many of them had voiced concern saying what exactly has been happening. The figure is not right. National average is one thing, J&K's average is more. Concerns are well taken, sir. The new industrial policy actually of 28,400 crores will generate 4.50 lakh employment. 4,226 investment proposals. They are worth totally 47,441 crores are also planned to have 1,96,945 youth getting jobs. So these investments are very clearly worked out in such a way that employment for this many number of youth would happen. 20,323 posts referred to recruitment agency already. So for 20,323 jobs for the posts, recruitment process is ongoing. It's already been referred to the agency. Then 1,37,870 youth have been provided assistance under the various self-employment schemes and programs. So they not only are doing their own, but probably employing one or two more in their different self-employed ventures. So on handicrafts, particularly on handicrafts, quite a few members voiced concern saying J&K is very well known for handicrafts. The artisans are very well respected. Are we giving them something, or are they losing out on this transitional phase? Loan slabs for artisans and weavers have been enhanced from the existing 1 lakh to 2 lakhs. Under the artisan credit card system, 7% artisans have been given credit cards under this particular scheme, and in that 7% interest subvention is being provided to artisans availing facility, and that is a proposal in the current budget. So it's not as if it's been there, nobody picked up, or it is a proposal which this Honorable House will approve of. 7 crafts, including Pashmina. Yesterday I think it was member Vivek Tanka, who's unfortunately not here, and I must concede, I appreciate he came and told me that he wouldn't unfortunately be here once the announcement was made that I shall be replying today. It was a concern that the Honorable Member raised. Pashmina shawls and carpet making have been registered under the GI Act, meaning the geographical indices, which is identity, which is given to certain unique traditional crafts have been given for Pashmina and also for carpet weaving from J&K. So we are taking steps to make sure that the artisans, particularly traditional skills, are working out. In fact, if not part of the budget, not part of the mentions which have been here, but I'm aware that there is a step being taken to revive the very famous filigree silver work, which is very, very delicate and fine work of Kashmir. The filigree work is being restored in master craftsmen from Orissa, if I know right. Amar Patnaik ji will be very happy to know. Filigree experts from Orissa are also being co-opted so that the workers in J&K can benefit from their skills, and that entire filigree thing will get revived. Even this is happening. Sir, much was spoken about the identity of J&K, the symbols which stand for J&K's identity, which I respect. Dal Lake, what's happening to Wular Lake, and so on. Dal Lake in particular, it was a bit sad when members said, oh, it's in a downright bad state. If you go somewhere near it, you'll only have the stench of the lake rather than the fresh, Jammu Kashmir's fresh air. So the work undertaken on the Dal Lake specifically, I'd like to put on record here, sir. The Western Foreshore Road along Dal Lake is to be constructed. Part of the funding is coming from the budget here. It will be constructed afresh. More indigenous lake cleaning machines to be procured. 1.5 square kilometer area to be cleared from what they call lily pads, but I think it is some kind of a weed which grows in the water. They're cleaning it, and during 22-23, 1.5 square kilometer additionally will be taken up for this cleaning. De-weeding and dredging to be conducted along with the shoreline of 1.5 square kilometer area during this fiscal, the coming 22-23. Dredging of acquired lands. Lands were acquired near the western side, if I understand right. Dredging of the acquired land of the lake for 60,000 square meters. 60,000 square meters in 22-23, which is to be converted into water bodies, freshly acquired, but they will become water bodies. In fact, many of the members of parliament who would have visited Dal Lake recently would know that it's far cleaner than what it was for ages, and it has to get cleaner even more. So, concern again was expressed about apples, which is the procurement, growing of more apples and orchards, not just apples, but also apricots and very many. On that as well, the Agriculture and Horticulture Department has been working. Efforts are underway to double farmers' income. 8.93 lakh farmers are benefited by the distribution of hybrid seeds. 5,500 metric tons of CA storage, as they call it, added in a year, and further 50,000 metric ton of CA storage is to be added in 22-23. Market intervention schemes such as Parvaz for providing subsidy on anti-hail, ओला जो पड़ता है सर, उसके लिए net introduced. There are anti-hail nets which are now available for horticulture farms. So that net has been introduced to prevent loss for fruit growers. And aside from fruit and horticulture, trout fish, which is a very famous fish there, trout fish production is being doubled from 1,400 metric tons to 2,800 metric tons. So in order that will be helping the local fishermen, the targets have been raised and equal activities are happening for improving the fishermen. So there was concern expressed that the works which have been taken up are progressing very slowly. It's not really happening. Whereas the budget allocation for Home Department is very high. I'd like to say, sir, the budget allocated for Home Department is only 10,831 crores, which is almost 10% of the overall budget. Whereas I think the understanding was that 80% of the budget is going for home. It's not so. It's only about 10% which is going. And as regards completion of projects, in 2018-19, sir, 9,229 projects were completed. In 1920, that has gone up to 12,637 projects which were completed. And in 21-22, I'm talking about ending March, meaning in another few days, 40,000 projects are likely to be completed, and the House will be, sometime obviously details will come out. The pace of development has increased manifold since 2019. Numbers are there for all of us to see. So I'm not getting into too much of the employment data, which of course Minister of State Kishan Reddy ji, Minister of State for Home, had mentioned. I'll now come to the 4 specific points that Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh raised specifically on the budget. He raised questions such as, the state PSU sales have given you increased revenue. So is that going to be your assumption for increasing your revenue in all for the coming year? What are your revenue resources? What are the additional resources that you're going to be identifying? And are you forgetting the usual raising of taxation, toll tax and other things, and going only for monetization? And also your assumption of GST revenues, and finally also about the land being made available by the J&K Industrial Development Corporation, which is a body which is a land bank kind of a body which gives for industrial development. I'm trying to address all the questions raised by Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh. Sir, resource mobilization, particularly in J&K, now that the economic activity of the state is across the board spread and available for everyone to see, our assumptions are based on mobilizing greater resources through the local bodies, ensuring that we have better collection through in some categories having user charges, and also making efficient services of the utilities, so that when the services rendered by the utilities are better served, people tend to pay promptly. And also, very importantly, like the way we are doing at the Government of India level, the removal of inefficiencies in the collection of power utilities, Forest Department, Jal Shakti Department, and also the Mining Department itself holds a lot of promise, and we are able to see that these removal of inefficiency in these areas are gradually showing up in terms of the benefits that we are able to get in the revenue. Asset monetization, sir, has only been 2.65% of our total receipts. And therefore, it's not such a huge big number that it gives an impression that, oh, you're selling everything, and therefore your entire assumption for revenue generation for the next year is based only on public sector undertakings being sold off. No, not at all. It is only 2.65% of what we have earned this year. But however, of course, sick public sector undertakings such as, and I give an example only, the Jammu Kashmir Cooperative Supply and Marketing Federation, which is called as JAC-Fed, I think, Jammu Kashmir Cooperative Supply and Marketing Federation, Jammu and Kashmir Cements Limited, and other such SIC units are the ones with the possibility, if we are able to get some kind of a consensus within the state, and also if the economic indices are very clearly analyzed, may be picked up for asset monetization, not privatization, asset monetization. So the GST collection question which Jairam Ramesh had raised is, you seem to estimate that the collection will double. I just want to bring the figures here, sir. The GST collection estimates which were made, which included the compensation for the current year, is projected at 10,462 crores. That's our estimate. The estimate includes the compensation which is getting received. And for the next year, it is slightly higher at 10,600 crores. Now, next year, of course, is from June 22, you're going to have no compensation coming. But still, we've just given slight increase, and I'll explain it how. The level of collection, sir, even for this year, as of February, itself is 12,127 crore. And this is Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm so proud to say that is the kind of revenue being generated in a state which is being governed transparently now, and businesses are able to do their functions. Otherwise, tax collection is just not possible in a state like Jammu Kashmir, which is coming out of the pandemic, which is reviving its economic activity. As of February end, we are saying 12,127 crores, which is much higher than the target set for this entire year. And therefore, even though we are at 12,000 crores, slightly over 12,000 crores, our assumption for the next year, therefore the BE for the next year, is only 10,600 crores. Because we know from July 22, the compensation is not going to be there. So we've not really built on this assumption saying it's doubling, and therefore we are going to double revenue. We have been realistic on that. And a figure which I had mentioned in some of the context earlier, answers partly the question which Jairam Ramesh raised about land allotment for industrial development. 4,226 investment proposals worth 47,441 crores have been received, and they are going to generate 1.97 lakh employments, and they have applied for online land allotment. So this is the land bank which is going to give them the land for it. Land for projects worth 14,000 crores has been approved, out of which 5,000 crores land worth in Kashmir division and 9,000 crores worth in Jammu division has already happened. So some of the questions, Jairam Ramesh and also the Honorable several other members about investments which is coming in. Are you really getting investments from outside, or is it just the locals? But if the locals have to do it, is the economy reviving adequately enough? There are questions raised. I just want to quickly give you a few metrics which will help us understand. During the Dubai Expo, which is going on, a lot of states went there and also tried mobilizing investment capital. During the Dubai Expo in January 2022, investment proposals worth 3,000 crores have been finalized. That is for J&K. CEOs of top companies, I mentioned it earlier, Honorable Member Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi is here now. He spoke about how the Gulf Cooperation countries members are still now in J&K talking investment possibilities. They're all there talking on a visit in J&K, which is testimony to the fact that normalcy and also government's commitments to draw investments are fully happening. Lulu Group, sir, has signed an MOU with the J&K government to invest 200 crores for setting up a food processing logistic hub. So that's already signed. That MOU is already signed. Apollo Group has also signed an MOU. They are setting up a 250-bedded multi-speciality hospital in J&K. Private sector coming into J&K, post-abrogation 370, and setting up hospitals, which did not happen till now. Outside, investors, specialists in certain area of investment are coming in. Other global investors, sir, have signed MOU. They include MR Group, which is spelled as all in capital EMAAR, MR. Then there is a Noon.com, Al Maya Group, Matu Investments, GL Employment Brokerage, etc. Many of such companies have already come, and I understand land has been already allotted for investment by Jindal Steel. The investments which are happening, and our assumptions of the budget are very clearly explained. So there was some probably factual misunderstanding. I want to correct them. The governor's rule, one of the members, I think it was Vivek Ji, he's not here, but I'm taking the liberty to mention it because it's a fact which needs to be corrected. President rule has been there for 6 years. What have you done? So just want to highlight, it may sound that I'm nitpicking, but these are the data which have to be clear. President rule was introduced in June 2018 and not before. So it's not 6 years yet. So there were also questions about, I think again, Honorable Member Rajani Ji is not here, but she said you must read a lot, you must know what has been said earlier. Only when you read do you understand. I fully appreciate that concern, but I just want to say that she said padiye padiye. Huh? Sorry? पढ़ लिया. हम सब पढ़ने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं सर, लगातार कोशिश करते हैं, बट पढ़ने में ही हमारे लिए जानकारी मिलता है कि जो एसेंशली J&K भारत देश का एक विषय है, जिसमें आई एम वेरी प्राउड टू से दिस हाउस both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In 1991 passed a resolution saying those parts which are under occupation, illegal occupation of Pakistan, are also integral part of India. 1991. It's essentially an India-related issue we are talking about. पढ़ने के बाद ये समझ में आता है कि इस मामले को इंटरनेशनलाइज करने वाले कांग्रेस थे, ग्लोबल यूएन को लेके चले गए। कौन लेके गया? पढ़ने के बाद हमें मालूम होता है सर, हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी, जो फर्स्ट प्रधानमंत्री जी है, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी, इसको यूएन में लेके चले गए। क्यों? क्यों? बिकॉज समवेयर सर, सर डेटा, बजट,
प्लीज सीट पर बैठकर कमेंट न करें प्लीज।
पढ़ने के बाद जानकारी बोलने में क्या एतराज है? पढ़ने के लिए आप ही तो इनवाइट किया, पढ़ने के बाद हम बोल रहे हैं, इसको सुनने का क्षमता भी रखना चाहिए। हाँ, पढ़ने के बाद मालूम हो रही है कि 1947 दिसंबर में, क्योंकि ब्रिटिशर्स ने उनसे कुछ शायद सजेशन दिया कि ये मामला अदरवाइज सुधरेगी नहीं, आप यूएन लेके चलो, यूएन लेके गए, इंटरनेशनलाइज बना दिया, उसको आज तक हमारे पड़ोसी दुरुपयोग कर रहा है, दुरुपयोग कर रहा है। इसका कारण कौन है जी? पढ़ने के बाद ताई नहीं है, रजनी ताई नहीं है, मगर it is a issue which should not have gone to a global forum. It's essentially an Indian issue. We could have handled it. We are handling it, and we are showing the difference now. Fair.
Please,
Sir.
please.
Sir.
She's not yielding.
Now, sir.
She's not
No.
yielding.
I've always. No. 1 minute. Anand Sharma ji, don't put words into my mouth.
Mani Anand ji, she's not
Yielding has
yielding.
never been my problem. I yield even now. I'll yield even now, provided I finish my sentence. I'll yield even now, provided I finish my sentence. So, padne ke baad, when we try to answer, or when we raise genuine issues, or when we answer some of the questions, many of the members won't be present, or they'll walk out. आंसर सुनने का क्षमता रखिए, मैं भी बैठ जाती हूँ, यील्ड भी करती हूँ, मगर ना जब जवाब देते हैं, बात करते हैं या रनिंग कमेंट्री देते हैं सर, मैं बार बार याद दिलाती हूँ, मैं जवाब देने के लिए तैयार हूँ, मगर जवाब देने के लिए जब मैं उठती हूँ, बाहर चली जाते हैं या रनिंग कमेंट्री देते हैं, वो सही नहीं है। I yield.
This is not an issue on which I want to have a partisan discussion or debate. I have also read the same history about our country and of that period. So the fact is that it was the British Parliament which had passed the Union of India Act, and two Dominion states were created, the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. There were certain agreements how the princely states, erstwhile princely states, would merge, either join one dominion or the other, through an instrument which was created, the instrument of accession, which is the same sanctity as to be honored, which is a sovereign guarantee and sovereign signature. It was Maharaja Hari Singh who had then approached the government. At the time of the Kabaili invasion, when Kashmir was under attack and the enemy forces were Pakistani forces under the guard of Kabailis or tribals, few kilometers from Srinagar airport. That's where the condition was made by the first Prime Minister and the first Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. That history, each page of those files has been read by both the first Prime Minister and the first Deputy Prime Minister, and accordingly it was a unanimous decision that we will send the Indian Army only when Jammu and Kashmir signs the instrument of accession to become an integral part of India. So what she's referring about the Honorable Minister, about the United Nations, I would like to set this record straight. If the matter was taken to the UN Security Council, the issue was whether there will be a cessation of the military conflict or not. India did not accept the plebiscite. UN Observer's Office was never given that sanctity. India conducted elections. There were elected governments in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Not only, we fought wars and we made it very clear repeatedly, this is India's position prior to 2014, consistent position that Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are an integral part of the sovereign state of
Thank
India.
you, Anand ji.
Let
Thank
that
you.
be put
Thank
on
you.
record.
Thank you. माननीय मंत्री जी, please.
Sir.
No, माननीय मंत्री जी, please. No, Anand, please, no. माननीय मंत्री जी, please. माननीय मंत्री जी.
Sir, we are reading history and we are coming back with
Please,
certain
let us
things.
now hear them. Let us hear Honorable Minister, please.
Say it is one thing for India to be repeatedly, subsequently fighting wars, defending the territory, also coming to the parliament to say that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India and so on, but all that is after having taken it to the UN body. So that you cannot deny, which was not necessary at all. So that has to be taken up, and but for the
Please,
veto.
please, no.
So this is how it
Please,
is.
अब बैठ कर सीट पे ना बोले, please.
We
Please.
have to listen to even an intervention which a former minister makes, and everyone was quite listening to Honorable Member Anand Sharma. But no, when I stand up to rebut that, there will be voice. That is the culture of the
Please.
current opposition, and I'm sorry to say this. That's a culture which should not happen in this house. I'm sorry to say this. Kindly have the patience to answer and listen
Mr.
to
Nazir
answer.
Hussain, should I name you today? Please, you are
There,
not the
there.
person to sitting here. Please take your seat. Mr. Nazir Hussain, मैं आपको name करूँगा,
Sir,
please. No, you are not
this is
supposed to talk
unbelievable,
from there.
sir.
सीट
This
पर
is
बैठ कर आप running
unbelievable.
commentary करेंगे. क्या तमाशा है? Please,
Sir,
please, no chairman, sir, please.
this
No,
is the constant
no,
rebuttal,
please.
sir.
माननीय
Even
LOP,
the
please.
chair will be argued with.
आप senior member encourage ना करें
Even the
चीजों को.
chair will be argued with or commented upon, and I therefore see how it's so difficult for any of us to stand up and answer. So, thank you very much, sir. Other point which I have to underline again is about Article 370. About Article 370, पढ़ने के बाद, First Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, in a reply to the Parliament, November 27, 1963, what did he have to say, sir? Article 370, I'm quoting, Article 370 is part of a certain transitional provisional arrangement. It's not a permanent part of the Constitution. It is a part as long as it remains so. As a matter of fact, it has been eroded, if I may use the word, and many things have been done in the last few years which have made the relationship of Kashmir with the Union of India very close, unquote. इसको बार बार हिंदी में भी they used to say गीस गीस करके आर्टिकल 370 खत्म हो जाएगा. गीस गीस करके खत्म होने वाले कानून के ऊपर जब सच में उसको निकालने के लिए जैसे माननीय फर्स्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने एनविसेज किया, the way in which he had mentioned गीस गीस करके हो जाएगा, उसको सच में हो जाने के लिए हटाने के लिए जब हम कदम उठाते हैं, no, what is this? How could you do it? You've removed the special status for a state. 70 years that transitional arrangement remained. And when you remove it, you should have gone by what Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had said in 1963. Supported it. The transitional phase is over. And I therefore want to quote here, sir, our Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji, who on August 6, 2019 said it. I quote, Jawaharlal Nehru ji also said that Article 370, I'm quoting, Jawaharlal Nehru also said that Article 370 will be worn out in due process. But Article 370 has been maintained with such an effort that it has been 70 years, but it has not worn out at all. Now you tell me, everyone accepts that this is a temporary provision. Can the word temporary last for 70 years? When will it go? How will it go? How long does this temporary provision have to remain? Unquote. This is what our Home Minister Amit Shah ji said August 6, 2019 while talking about abrogation. And therefore, it is important to understand that although from Jansang's days, our manifestos have spoken about abrogation of 370 and we've kept up that promise. Every BJP manifesto has said it. We've kept up that promise. It's a promise given to the country. And therefore we had to do it, we've fulfilled it. Sir, also, repeatedly we've heard denial about nothing happened, no genocide, no mass migration of people, no running, no fleeing of people, no killing happened. And also various questions about who was the governor there. It was your rule. You were in alliance in Delhi. I just want to put the facts on record, sir. The National Conference government, with the support of the Indian National Congress, was in power in J&K from November 1986 to January 18th, 1990. And Governor Jagmohan ji reached J&K after the resignation of the then Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah ji. Sorry to take the name here, but he was the Chief Minister then. 20th January 1990 is when the governor reaches Srinagar. But whatever happened in 1990, we all know, we list it out and we are all seeing it also. But what happened in 1989 when this government was still in place? November 86 onwards till 18 January 1990. I'll take just the example of 1989 when that government of National Conference and Indian National Congress alliance government was still there. At least 7 major events and 1/8, which is even more important, all happened in 89. Srimati Prabhavati, wife of Sohan Lal in Nagam Chadura, was brutally killed by terrorists, and the FIR is still lying there, 46/89 in Shahidganj, Srinagar police station. Sri Dinanath Raina, son of Tarachand, was killed, shot dead by terrorists in Habba Kadal, and that FIR 154/89, 1989 ka incident, still lies in Shahidganj police station. Number 2. Number 3, retired Judge Neelkant, who had sentenced Maqbool Butt. जैसे पूरे कॉन्वर्सेशन कश्मीर फाइल्स के ऊपर चला, बजट के ऊपर नहीं चला. Sir, Neelkant.
Please.
You reply on Kashmir budget. Whatever points we have raised, you reply. VP Singh के साथ कौन थे? VP Singh.
I'll answer that also. I'll answer that.
सपोर्ट करके वहां पर खुद उधर बढ़ावा भी देते हैं, इधर ये बात भी हमको कहते हैं, और देश बचाने के लिए हमने जो काम किया उसकी मजाक भी यहाँ उड़ाते हैं.
धन्यवाद माननीय.
ठीक नहीं है.
धन्यवाद माननीय.
आपको कुछ कहना है,
धन्यवाद.
एक अलग डिबेट रखिए.
धन्यवाद.
फिर सारे उत्तर हम लोग देंगे.
धन्यवाद. प्लीज.
Sir,
माननीय मंत्री,
I'm
आपकी बात
very-
रिकॉर्ड पे जा रही है, कोई और नहीं. प्लीज.
I'm very happy to hear the honorable leader of opposition say, first answer on the subject, don't deviate from the subject. On both the points, sir, I have all this while answered point by point on the subject for those members who spoke on the subject. And for those who did not speak on the subject too, I will answer here. And therefore, I request the honorable leader of opposition to have the kind patience and give me that space as a member of this house so that I will be able to answer every one of the members who ask me questions which are somewhat on the budget and which are majority not on the budget. And for that, if you allow me, I will draw the comment of Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh. Thank you. Honorable Member Jairam Ramesh comment I would like to take so that I will stand here justified for answer that I'm giving now. If the records can be pulled out and shown, I'm paraphrasing, may not be the exact words. Didn't he start his intervention by saying, whilst majority of the discussion has happened on other things, sir, I want to come back to the budget and ask some 4 questions which are pertinent to the budget. I've answered the 4 questions, but he himself, coming from the opposition desk, realized that the debate on the J&K budget was on everything else but the budget. Please take the record and show it. Didn't he? And is it not my duty, therefore, to talk about other things also? So why is this objection by the leader of the opposition? Kind senior member, kindly, I request through you, allow me the space to answer everything that has been said. I'm done, sir. So that is number 2. Number 3, retired Judge Neelakant, who was also shot in broad daylight for having given a judgment against a terrorist. That also happened in 1989. Vijay Kumar Kupura, son of Shambhunath, also killed by terrorists in Maharajganj, and the FIR 21289 stands even now in Shahidganj. 5th one, Tikkalal Taplu, son of Amarnath Taplu, the FIR still lies in Maharajganj, shot down 169 by 89, stands still there, the FIR. Advocate Premnath Bhatt, 1989, of Khaja Mir Ali, was also killed, FIR still 512 by 89, 6th one. 7th, is it not true? Now I'll come to this, sir. Now they talk about NC plus Congress government in there, but you were here supporting the union government from outside. Is it not true then that the Union Home Minister's daughter herself was kidnapped during December 1989? The state government there couldn't do a thing. They couldn't do a thing. And the state government's responsibility, it is the law and order. So, is it not true that even Jagmohan Ji, and this is the last point on this ground I want to raise, is it not true that Governor Jagmohan, in his first phase of being governor, when he was asked to leave in July 1989, didn't he warn the authorities at that time itself that the dark clouds of the terrorists are really overpowering J&K? Necessary efforts will have to be taken by the state government. He said that and quit. And after that, all this has happened. And after that is when the resignation of the then chief minister had to happen on 18 January 1990. And then came Jagmohan Yor as governor. But this happened when the state government was controlled by National Conference and Indian National Congress. So kindly, sir, do not, I wish the dates are not played around with. No, we were not there, you were there. None of that. All these dates are pakka here in the records. So, for something which has been from then messed around, completely injustice done to the people of J&K, after the abrogation of Article 370, you see justice reaching, democracy reaching, economic development reaching, rights for everybody reaching. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I shall now put the motion regarding consideration of the Jammu and Kashmir Appropriation Bill 2022 to vote. The question is that the Jammu and Kashmir Appropriation Bill 2022 as passed by Lok Sabha be taken to consideration. Those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We shall now take up
अहमदाबाद, नागपुर, मुंबई, पुणे मार्गों पर सर्वे की दिशा में दिए बनते रहा है कि दिवाली करने अभी
वो कंक्लूड
नहीं रखे और अंतर्गत की रोजगार में रेलवे
मुझे समय दिए तो खासकर भारतीय रेल कामकाज पर बात करने का और जो रेलवे में सरकार ने जो कुछ काम किया है और इससे पहले भी जो काम इस इलाके में हुए हैं उसके बारे में बहुत सी बातें यहाँ पर रखी गई और बहुत सी चीज़ें प्रेसिडेंट के अभिभाषण पर या उनके भाषण पर उस वक्त भी बहुत चर्चा इस सदन में हुआ और बहुत सी चीज़ें सरकार के तरफ से बताए गए। मुझे खुशी है कि ये रेलवे डिपार्टमेंट एक बहुत बड़ा डिपार्टमेंट है जिसका मैं भी थोड़े दिन के लिए यानी एक साल 1.5 साल के लिए मंत्री था। ये बहुत ही बड़ा डिपार्टमेंट है और हमेशा ये इंडिपेंडेंट डिपार्टमेंट रहता था, ऑटोनोमस रहता था और इसका हिस्ट्री 170 साल से ज़्यादा है और ये एक देश का लाइफलाइन है जिससे कन्याकुमारी से कश्मीर तक रेल से जुड़ा जाता है, आसाम से लेकर गुजरात तक रेल चलती है। तो इसका प्रोग्रेस तो बहुत पहले ही हो चुका है, चंद जो बचे कुचे थे वो भी चल रहे हैं। लेकिन जब मैं भाषण पहले भी सुना तो उसमें तो हर भाषणकार ऐसा बोलने लगा कि ये रेलवे डिपार्टमेंट का जन्म ही 2014 से हुआ। अरे क्यों नीरज, जरा चुप बैठो। आपके पिताजी हमारे बड़े दोस्त भी थे, सीनियर लीडर थे। नहीं सो रहे ना, इसलिए बोल। क्योंकि हमारा गुलबर्गा को 3 दफा आना हुआ उनको, चंद्रशेखर, मोहन धारिया, कृष्णाकांत, अब सब लोगों के ऊपर केस उस वक्त हुआ था। तो अरे कांग्रेस 69 में 70 में गुलबर्गा आए थे। कांग्रेस फोरम फॉर सोशलिस्ट एक्शन।
सर आप टॉपिक पे
चलिए मैडम, खैर
प्रधानमंत्री बनाया था बीजेपी ने।
तो आज जो ऐसा बात कर रहे हैं कि हर प्रोजेक्ट और ये रेल 2014 में ही इसका जन्म हुआ। आज लोग इतने परेशान हैं कि एक तरफ प्राइवेटाइजेशन की गूंज उठ रही है और इससे कर्मचारी बड़े चिंतित है और एक ऐसा बड़ा डिपार्टमेंट है जिसमें बहुत से लोगों को नौकरियां दी जा सकती है। पहले तो ये अच्छा चल रहा था, लेकिन क्या वजह थी कि रेलवे बजट को फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट में मर्ज किया गया। अब फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट के पास हर वक्त जाना पड़ता है। पहले तो बोर्ड बहुत से डिसीजन लेती थी, डिस्क्रिशन उनके पास था और जरूरी कामें जो होना है वो जल्द से जल्द कर देते थे। लेकिन आज हर चीज को क्यू में ठहर कर फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट से मंजूरी लेनी पड़ती है। तो ये इससे क्या एफिशिएंसी ज़्यादा हो गई या कम हुई, मुझे मालूम नहीं, वो मिनिस्टर अपने उत्तर में बताएंगे। ये आज़ादी के बाद हमको ये रेलवे एक बड़ी जर्जर स्थिति में मिली थी और खासकर इसका 40% रेल लाइन पूरे पाकिस्तान में गई थी, बाकी का हिस्सा हमारे पास था और प्राइवेट कंपनियां राजे महाराजाओं के सबके रेलवे थे। वो कम से कम 42 राजाओं के और प्राइवेट कंपनी के मिलके जो लाइन थी उन सभी को एक सिस्टम में आज़ादी के बाद नेहरू जी ने लाया और ये मर्ज करने के बाद रेल डिपार्टमेंट इतनी बड़ी कि इसको 6 जून में बांटा गया ताकि काम इसका बड़े एफिशिएंट के साथ होने दो और खासकर 80-90% गरीब लोग जो सी क्लास कोच में बैठते हैं, जिसको पहले 3rd क्लास कहते थे, तो उससे ही ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग जाते हैं। लेकिन हम लोग उधर ध्यान कम देते हैं और दूसरे चीज़ों पे अपना ध्यान ज़्यादा है। अब उदाहरण के तौर पर मैं सुन रहा था जब नॉर्थ ईस्ट का भी बजट यहाँ पर पेश हुआ तो हर चीज़ का क्रेडिट वही लोग लेने शुरू करें जिन्होंने शुरू में कुछ नहीं किया था या जब मौका मिला उस वक्त भी नहीं किया था। देखिए, डेडिकेटेड फ्लाइट कॉरिडोर जम्मू कश्मीर हो या नॉर्थ ईस्ट हो, ये जो परियोजनाओं के बारे में इनकी बुनियाद तो कांग्रेस सरकार ने रखी, लेकिन हमारे योगदान को जनता से क्यों छिपा रहे आप? भाई ये इस साल प्रारंभ हुआ, इतना काम हुआ था और इतना काम हमने किया, आप क्रेडिट लो। आप ऐसा बोल रहे कि को हर चीज जो उस वक्त हुए उसका जिक्र करने को भी आपको थोड़ा शर्माते होंगे। क्यों नाम बोला? क्योंकि जैसा पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी का नाम आते ही जो जवाहरलाल नेहरू यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़े हैं वो लोग भी ऐसा कूदते हैं कि ये कहीं जवाहरलाल नेहरू नाम कहीं और का है। अरे जो आदमी 13.5 साल जेल में रहा और देश के लिए लड़ा, अखबार निकाला, अपने घर को ऑफिस बनाया, उसके बारे में आप ऐसे बातें करते हैं कि वो कुछ भी नहीं है और सब कुछ आप किए हैं, तो ये अच्छी बात नहीं है। और मैं आपको और एक बात बताना चाहता हूँ। कश्मीर की भी जिक्र हो गई थी उस वक्त। जो 212 में हमने पीर पंजाल की 11 किलोमीटर से लंबी सुरंग बनाकर जम्मू कश्मीर को रेल से जोड़ा। मैं खुद भी गया था एक 11 किलोमीटर का सुरंग ये करते हुए। और जम्मू तवी उधमपुर लाइन 13 अप्रैल 2005 को पूरा किया, उसका भी क्रेडिट आप ले रहे। बारामुल्ला से काजीगुंड लाइन 28 अक्टूबर 2009 को पूरी हुआ। वैष्णव देवी यात्रा के लिए कटरा तक रेल पहुंचाने का काम भी हमने किया। और नॉर्थ ईस्ट की ज्यादातर प्रोजेक्ट्स यूपीए की देन है। 10 साल तक डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी जब प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे और वहां से राज्यसभा से चुनाव जीतते थे तो उन्होंने बहुत कुछ उस इलाके में काम किया, लेकिन उसका जिक्र भी नहीं करते। अरे इतनी जेलसी, इतना हेट्रेडनेस अगर डेमोक्रेसी में रहा तो बड़ा मुश्किल है। ये डेमोक्रेसी ऐसे इस ढंग से नहीं टिकती। इसको आप जो अच्छा काम हुआ उसकी सलाह करो, जो नहीं हुआ जहां टीका करना है आप टीका कीजिए। हर बात को तोड़ मोड़ के, एक जमाने में जम्मू कश्मीर गया था, उसके बाद वाराणसी भी गया था, तो उस वक्त वहाँ के लोगों ने कहा, खासकर हमारे बेंगलुरु के लोगों ने, साहब हम बेंगलुरु के इतने नॉर्थ इंडिया के लोग हैं, राजस्थान के हैं, बिहार के हैं, यूपी के हैं, कश्मीर पंडित हैं, सब लोग हैं, हमको अपने वाराणसी को जाने के लिए या वैष्णो देवी जाने के लिए और अपना अजमेर जाने के लिए कोई ट्रेन नहीं। तब मैंने खुद वो स्वामी जी के पास जाकर कहा कि आपकी ट्रेन बेंगलुरु से काशी तक 1 महीने में चलेगी। हमने चला के दिखाए। वैष्णो देवी के लिए यशवंतपुर टू वैष्णो देवी मैं करके दिया, और उसके बाद अजमेर के लिए वो भी पूछे तो वो भी करके दिए। और उसमें कोई पार्टी पॉलिटिक्स नहीं था। हमारा मकसद यही था कि सबको सहूलत हो, और ये पॉलिटिक्स बाहर करेंगे। जब चुनाव आता लड़ेंगे, आप अपने उसूल बोलते हैं, हम अपने उसूल बोलते हैं, ठीक है, आपकी आइडियोलॉजी की जीत हो गई होगी, मेरी आइडियोलॉजी को स्वीकार नहीं किए होंगे, उसके लिए हम लड़ेंगे और लड़ेंगे, मजबूत करेंगे हमारे उसूलों के लिए। लेकिन ये नहीं किसी को एक गाड़ी देना तो भी पार्टी सोचते हैं, किस बच्चे को सीट देना वो भी पार्टी बेसिस सोचते हैं, कोई ईएसआई हॉस्पिटल देना अभी आप सोचे नहीं, आगे सोचेंगे आप, देना है तो भी पार्टी को सोचेंगे। हाँ, क्या मांग रहे?
Kindly don't divert, please.
तो साहब मेरा कहना यह है
Member, don't
कि
divert.
डेवलपमेंट सबसे मिलके होता है, अकेला आदमी नहीं करता। मैं जब ईएसआई के हॉस्पिटल खोला और जोशी साहब यहाँ नहीं है, उनके कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी से जब मैं जाता था, उनको प्रिसाइड करने के लिए मैं बोलकर उनके सारे काम करके देता था, क्योंकि वो फायदा सिर्फ जोशी को होने वाला नहीं है, उस इलाके के पूरे लोगों को फायदा होने वाला है। चाहे वोट किसको भी देने दो, आप हमको इन्विटेशन भी नहीं भेजते, बुलाते भी नहीं, और जो लोग हमसे काम लिए और जिनके साथ हमने काम किया और वो भूल जाते हैं, और आप समझ रहे हैं कि और 50 साल आप ही रहने वाले हैं। अरे आदमी की आयुष्य तो देखो, यहाँ देश में 75 साल 66 इयर्स एवरेज है, अब तो 69 हो गया है, इससे ज्यादा तो आप बचने वाले नहीं है। क्यों दुश्मनी? काम भी नहीं करते, हेट्रेड पॉलिसी, और कुछ किए तो भी हमने किया, ठीक है, जितना किया उतना आप करो। 7 साल में आप सब कुछ किया। मैं एक उदाहरण देता हूं, अभी भाषण में वो हमारे हाँ वो साहब ने बोला कि हमने ब्रॉड गेज इतना बनाया, बहुत कुछ ब्रॉड गेज बनाया साहब, नैरो गेज, मीटर गेज, ब्रॉड गेज, इस सबको अगर किसी ने जोड़ा, वो पीवी नरसिंह राव ने निकाल कर पॉलिसी, और मनमोहन सिंह जब ये फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर थे उस वक्त शुरू हो गई, और हमने वो पूरा किया। लेकिन आप वो भी क्रेडिट आप लेते हैं। उसके बाद में आप और एक बात मैं आपके सामने कहना चाहता हूं कि ये ब्रॉड गेज का फायदा सिर्फ किसी तेलंगाना में नहीं हुआ, इसका फायदा कर्नाटक को हुआ, महाराष्ट्र को हुआ, आसाम को हुआ, तमिलनाडु को हुआ, मध्य प्रदेश को हुआ, ये यूनिगेज का। तो इसका भी आप क्रेडिट लेते हो। और नॉर्थ ईस्ट विजन 2020 पूर्वोत्तर के सभी राज्यों की राजधानियों को 2017 तक रेल से जोड़ने की बात थी, जो आप नहीं कर सके। लेकिन ये लमेंडिंग सिलचर ब्रॉडगेज का असली काम हमारा था। उद्घाटन जाके आपने करके बोला, ये भी नहीं बोला कि कम से कम मनमोहन सिंह साहब के जमाने में शुरू हुआ था, बचा कुचा काम हमने किया, ये भी आपके जबान से नहीं आता। अरुणाचल में 7 अप्रैल 2014 को हमने रेल पहुंचाई। मेघालय की रेल लाइन हमने मार्च 2014 तक बना के दी थी। और बनारस के बारे में तो आप क्या ढोल पीटते हो, क्या ढोल पीटते हो कि रेलवे स्टेशन देखो, लाइट देखो, ये सब। साहब, ये जो वहां पर बहुत बड़ा रेलवे इंजन का, डीजल इंजन का कारखाना किसने डाला? ये लाल बहादुर शास्त्री ने शुरू किया और वो हमारे जमाने में हुआ। और इंदिरा जी बनारस का शानदार स्टेशन उन्होंने बनाया। और पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी जब कभी भी जनरल मैनेजर्स, जोनल मैनेजर्स की मीटिंग होती थी, उसमें जाके बैठते थे, देखते थे और कुछ कमियां हैं तो उसको ठीक करने की सलाह देते थे। लेकिन आज इतना होने के बाद भी, और वो रेल से भी सफर करते थे, लेकिन आपको तो 8,000 करोड़ का हवाई जहाज ही चाहिए, उसी में बैठ के फिरेंगे। आप रेल से नहीं जाएंगे, रेलवे स्टेशन पे ठहर के फोटो खिंचवा लेंगे या रेल डिब्बे पे आपकी फोटो लगा लेंगे, लेकिन ये आपने करना। साहब, थोड़ा ग्राउंड रियलिटी को समझिए। हो गया, प्रचार में आप आ गए, प्रचार से ही पेट भरने वाला नहीं है। लोगों को जब तक काम नहीं मिलेगा और लोगों को जब तक उनकी रोजी रोटी मिलेगी नहीं, तब तक वो चुप नहीं बैठने वाला है, वो लड़ते रहेगा। अगर हमने कुछ
Kindly,
अरे
honorable members, please no
वोट तो
comments
ऐसे
from
लोगों
side.
को भी
Please
मिलते
respect the
हैं।
honorable,
आपके इलाके में अगर
member who is
कोई
speaking.
समाज में उसकी एक्सेप्टेंसी नहीं भी है तो ऐसे लोग भी वोट लेकर असेंबली में आते हैं, मालूम है ना आपको। चुप बैठिए, आप मत बात करिए। अगर
No
सर
comments, please. No comments from that side.
2012 और 13 में भारतीय रेल अमेरिका, चीन और रूस जैसे 1 अरब टन से ज्यादा माल ढोने वाला खास देशों में शामिल हुआ। ये तो आपको मालूम है। इन देशों के साथ उसके साथ हम आ गए। ये 12-13 में ही हो गया था। और आपका फोकस प्राइवेटाइजेशन पे है, इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूं, क्योंकि आपने ये घोषणा की थी। आप बोले तो आप नहीं थे उस वक्त, यानी आपके पहले के। क्या है, 150 गाड़ियों का प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स को देने का ऐलान किया और वो आपने कहा कि इसमें लाखों लोगों को नौकरी मिलेगी, ऐसा आपने ही कहा। तो इसका मतलब क्या है कि 150 ट्रेनें, लाइनें आप प्राइवेटाइज करने वाले हैं। और जब आप ये बात कहते हैं, अगर हम बोलेंगे बार बार तो आप नहीं, प्राइवेटाइजेशन नहीं कर रहे हम, ये झूठ है, ये सत्य से दूर है, तो ये भाषा बोलेंगे आप। लेकिन आपने तो बजट में कहा था लास्ट ईयर। और आज एविएशन सेक्टर हो, शिपिंग सेक्टर हो, ये सेक्टर्स तो आप अमीरों के हवाले कर दे रहे हैं, किए हैं। और ये रेल भी अगर कर देंगे तो गरीब बेचारा मर जाएगा और उसकी बद्दुआएं आपको लगेगी। इस पर सोच लीजिए। तो
No comments, please. No comments.
आपको
No comments, please.
देखो,
No comments,
आप ये
please.
भी
You
कहें
respond when
और
your
प्राइम
chance
मिनिस्टर
comes.
भी कहे, मैडम अरे इस देश में हवाई चप्पल पहनकर चलने वाला आदमी हवाई जहाज से सफर करेगा, लेकिन मैडम उसको तो बोले आप, अरे आपका ऐसा ही है जैसा गैस पहले फ्री दिया है, अब उसका 1000 रुपये हो गया, चलो चुप बैठो। तो आपकी बातें ही अलग होते हैं, आपके करने में कथनी में अलग अलग चीजें हैं, बोलने में अलग चीजें हैं। तो मेरा कहना यह है कि आप जो बातें कहते हैं तो उसके मुताबिक चलते नहीं, और खास करके ये प्राइवेटाइजेशन की आइडिया जो बार बार आपके दिमाग में आ रही है रेलवे के लिए, वो छोड़ दो। अगर आ गया तो इससे गरीब पूरा तंग और तबाह हो जाएगा, और इवन आपको जो चीपेस्ट सामान मिलता है रेल से, जो उसकी फ्लाइट में जो जाते हैं सामान, वो भी महंगे हो जाएंगे। तो इसलिए मैं आपसे यही अपेक्षा करता हूं कि आप लोग इस प्राइवेटाइजेशन के दायरे में मत लाइए, क्योंकि आपने ये बात कही है। मैं देखा कि एक केसी राममूर्ति यहाँ नहीं है, उन्होंने उनके एक अनस्टार्ड क्वेश्चन नंबर 1746 उन्होंने कहा था, द एम्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ नेशनल मोनेटाइजेशन पाइपलाइन। ये दूसरे भी क्वेश्चन है, मैं इसके ऊपर नहीं जाता। तब आपने ये कहा था कहाँ कैसे कैसे, तो रेलवे स्टेशन के बारे में आपने कहा था ये प्राइवेटाइज करने की बात। न्यू दिल्ली, मुंबई, नागपुर, मैडम आपका गांव भी आ रहा है, तो अमृतसर, देहरादून, ग्वालियर, साबरमती, नेल्लोर, तिरुपति, पांडिचेरी, स्टेट इन विच assets identified located। ये अब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता प्राइवेटाइज करने की तरफ जा रहे थे। अभी क्यों रुका मुझे मालूम नहीं है, लेकिन ये आपकी घोषणा और ये सदन में आपका इस प्रश्न का उत्तर है, तो मैं यहाँ पर पटन पे रखूंगा। फिर दूसरी चीज, आपको ऑपरेटिंग रेशियो, क्योंकि आप तो ब्यूरोक्रेसी से आए हैं ऐसा सुना, और विद्वान भी है, ठीक है, लेकिन ये प्रैक्टिकल काम भी अलग होता है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अलग होता है, चलाना अलग होता है, और लिखना अलग होता है। तो मैं एक उदाहरण देता हूँ। ऑपरेटिंग रेशियो बुरी तरह बिगड़ गया। रेलवे की माली हालत का सबसे बड़ा पैरामीटर ऑपरेटिंग रेशियो है, इसको तो आप मानते हैं। यूपी में इसका औसत 91.7% था, जो आज के आपके राज्य में ये 96.07 हुआ। और ये मेरा नहीं है, सीएजी ने 2019-20 के ऑपरेटिंग रेशियो को 10 साल में सबसे खराब माना। लक्ष्य 95% था, लेकिन पेंशन को जोड़कर 114.35%। तो मैं ये सीएजी का रिपोर्ट पढ़ूंगा, क्योंकि हमारे बातों पे आपका कम भरोसा रहता है। कम से कम आपकी जो आपके सीएजी जो इंडिपेंडेंट अथॉरिटी है, और उसी के ऊपर बहुत से भाषण भी आपने करके हमारे सरकार को टोकते रहे, बदनाम करते रहे, उसी का रिपोर्ट में बोल रहा हूँ। देखिए पेज नंबर 16, प्यारा 6.1 on operating ratio. ऑपरेटिंग रेशियो के बारे में वो पैरा में क्या कहते हैं? Against the target of 95% in the budget estimates, the operating ratio of railways was 98.36% in 1920. यानी 100 रुपए कमाने के लिए 98 रुपीस आप खर्च करते हो. This meant that railways spent 98.36 to earn 100 rupees as compared to the operating ratio of 97.29% during 1819 और हमारे जमाने में तो 95 था. There was a deterioration in 1920. ये CAG का कहना है, मेरा नहीं. Further, had the actual amount कितना 48,626 crores required to meet the expenditure on pension payments of zonal railways been appropriated to the pension fund instead of 20,708 crore. The railways working expenses would have increased. With the increased working expenses, the OR would have been 114.35%. ये उनका ही कहना, मेरा नहीं. तो 114 रुपए खर्च कर परसेंटेज. तो ये उसके बाद में 2021-22 में द यूनियन बजट 2021-22 document, if it has been mentioned that with the required level of appropriation to pension fund from railways revenues in 1920, the operating ratio would be 114.19%. Thus, OR of 98.36% shown by the railways does not reflect true financial performance of the railways. This is CAG report. इसको तो मानते नहीं आप, यादव जी, इसको तो मानते नहीं. ऑलवेज मैं भी पब्लिक अकाउंट्स कमेटी में थे, आप भी थे, मालूम है. सुन, नहीं तो मैं उनको बता रहा हूँ. देखिए ऑपरेटिंग रेशियो आपके जमाने में कितने बड़ा है, 114. जो एक जमाने में 93, 94 था, 95 था, आप बढ़ के आप इतना हो गया है. ये CAG पॉइंट आउट कर दिए है. ये इसका क्या मतलब होता है आप ही सोचो. फिर उसके बाद में आपका तो ऐसा है साहब, 4 आने की मुर्गी 12 आने का मसाला. हमेशा आप 4 आने प्रोजेक्ट पे खर्च करते हो, 12 आने एडवर्टाइजमेंट खर्च करते हो, सब एडवर्टाइजमेंट. तो इसीलिए आपको अच्छा दिखता है क्योंकि वो सिर्फ फोटोआं देखते हैं. अगर एक्चुअल ये ग्राउंड रियलिटी देखे तो ये हालत आपकी है और CAG ने आपके धज्जे उड़ाए. दूसरी चीज, इन बातों को छिपाकर आप तो प्रचार करते हैं और मैं यही कहूँगा कि भारत की जो रेल है ये जनता के खून पसीने से बनी हुई है. लोगों का पैसा है, लोग देते हैं और उसको बचाना और उसकी आमदनी बढ़ाना और उसको अच्छा रखना ये हम सबका काम है. और सरकार इधर ज़्यादा ध्यान दे ताकि रेलवे के ऊपर किसकी फोटो लगे उसको जरा छोड़ दीजिए. हमेशा पैसेंजर को मदद करने के लिए हम लोग ये फ्लाइट चार्जेस या मालगाड़ी होती है उसमें ध्यान, क्योंकि आमदनी वहाँ बढ़े और पैसेंजर को कम दाम में हम पहुँचाएं. लेकिन आपको इसकी चिंता नहीं है. घाटे में बता कर किसी प्राइवेट प्राइवेट को देना, ये मकसद रखते हैं, इसीलिए इसको रोज घाटा 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 बनाते हैं। ये मत करो साहब, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ा एम्प्लॉयमेंट देने वाला और कम से कम पहले तो 1980 में ये 18 लाख लोग काम करते थे, उसके बाद में घटते घटते 13 लाख हो गए, अब आपके ज़माने में तो फिर 12 लाख हो गए। और उसमें से मैं आंकड़े आगे आपको पढ़ के बताऊंगा कि आप जिस ढंग से आप चला रहे हैं तो अब घटते घटते ये हो रहा है कि 2,65,000 पोस्ट खाली है और 3,18,000 लोग कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल बेसिस डेली वेजेस पे हैं। अगर इन लोगों को रेगुलराइज नहीं करे, या जो अब रेगुलराइज है केवल 9,67,000 और इनको कोई सुविधा नहीं मिलती, इनको कोई पेंशन नहीं मिलता, तो जो डेली बेसिस पे हैं वो भी वैसे ही, कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल बेसिस पे हैं वो भी वैसे ही है। तो इसीलिए, और खाली पोस्ट इतने हैं, लेकिन कम से कम अगर नौकरियां रही तो SC/ST को रिजर्वेशन मिलता है, OBC को रिजर्वेशन मिलता है, और आजकल आपने EWS उनको भी अपर कास्ट के लिए जो उसमें गरीब है उनके लिए भी आपने एक प्रावधान किया है। लेकिन इसको कहाँ मिलेगा? आप नौकरियां घटाते ही जा रहे हैं और जो खाली है वो भर रहे नहीं। तो आप बोलिए आपका मकसद क्या है? जो लोग स्वाभिमान से जीना चाहते हैं उनको आप गुलाम बना रहे हो और गुलामी में रहने के लिए आप प्रोत्साहन कर रहे हैं। एक जमाने में बाबू जगजीवन राम जी जब थे तो रेलवे में भर्ती जब भी खाली होते तो जल्दी भर्ती करते थे। बाद में हमारे ज़माने में भी कोशिश किए, लेकिन इधर इधर ऐसा एक वातावरण तैयार किया जा रहा है कि एफिशिएंसी नहीं। क्या कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल लेबर में एफिशिएंसी होती है अगर उसको परमानेंट नहीं बनाया? क्या डेली वेजेस वालों को उसमें एफिशिएंसी आती है? वो तो बेजार से काम करता है। आप लोग एक इन द नेम ऑफ लिबरलाइजेशन, मेरे गवर्नमेंट में भी किए होंगे, मैं नहीं समझ, लेकिन मेरा ये वैयक्तिक राग तभी भी था, आज भी है, आगे भी रहेगा। आप गरीबों के पेट पर लात मार के अमीरों को बचाने की कोशिश मत करो, उनके हाथ में ये रेलवे देने की कोशिश मत कीजिए। और ये रिटायर भी हो रहे, भर्ती करो। फिर उसके बाद में मैं और एक बात बताना चाहता हूँ। आपने चुनाव के मद्देनजर रखते हुए ही बहुत काम करते, बहुत अच्छा करते हैं। आपकी केमिस्ट्री, आपका फिजिक्स तो नहीं बोलता, केमिस्ट्री तो बड़ी अच्छी रहती है। वोट लेने के लिए क्या करना चाहिए, कैसा। आपने चुनाव के हिसाब से 15 फरवरी 2019 से वंदे भारत ट्रेन शुरू करे। क्या? वंदे भारत ट्रेन शुरू कर दी। 3 साल में आप केवल 2 ट्रेन चला सके। 3 साल में 2 ट्रेन वंदे भारत। अब फिर आप अनाउंस किए हैं 400 वंदे भारत ट्रेन चलेगी। तो जो आप 3 साल में नहीं कर सके, क्या आप वंदे भारत 400 ट्रेन 1 साल 2 साल में चलाएंगे? तो क्यों ऐसा लोगों को झूठ बोलते हो? झूठ बोलकर वोट क्यों लेते हो? या सत्य से दूर बात रख के क्यों कहते हो? कहो ना, जितना होता है वो करो। तो इसीलिए मैं आपको ये आंकड़े दे रहा हूं, आप ही के पास से लिए सो आंकड़े हैं। 400 वंदे भारत चलाने का ऐलान आपने कर दिया। इससे साफ हो जाता है कि आपकी नीयत में कुछ गड़बड़ी है, खोटी है। टेक्नोलॉजी की बात आती, मॉडर्नाइजेशन की बात, ये तो मॉडर्नाइजेशन होते जाता है।
मेरा निवेदन है कि एलओपी है, सब लोग हम लोग सम्मान करते हैं, इस नाते नहीं हो सकता है मुंह से निकल गया। झूठ शब्द इन्होंने कहा है जो संसदीय नहीं है, कृपया उसको निकाल दिया जाए।
देखिए
क्या है? What is that?
अब
संसदीय नहीं है, इस नाते अब आप एलओपी
झूठ।
ठीक है।
अरे उसीलिए तो मैं बोला सत्य से दूर। ठीक।
we will examine,
अरे,
we will examine and
अरे
appropriate
मैं
decision will be
जानकर भी
taken.
मैं अपने
Sir,
आप
you
को
have only
correction
3
कर रहा
minutes.
था, क्योंकि ये यादव साहब हमेशा उठाते हैं, सॉरी यादव साहब हमेशा उठाते हैं, वो बुक लेके बैठते हैं। तो
सर आपको
इसीलिए
3 मिनट ही है तो कम टू द टॉपिक। 3 मिनट ही
मुझे
है।
आप मत सिखाइए। तो मैं आपसे नेशनल रेल प्लान बना दिया और आपने क्या कहा? आपने सीधे 2050 तक के लिए नेशनल रेल प्लान बना दिया। 30 साल बाद क्या होगा किसको मालूम? 30 साल ये प्लान, अरे कोई पंचवार्षिक योजना होती या नीति आयोग से भी 5 साल 10 साल का कोई योजना होती तो हम समझेंगे इसमें कोई सत्यता है। 30 साल का, 30 साल पूछने के लिए मैं यहाँ नहीं रहूंगा, बोलने के लिए आप वहां नहीं रहेंगे, और देश के लिए आप मार्गदर्शन करने वाले भी नहीं है 30 साल का। तो ये ऐसी झूठी बातें बोल कर, यानी सॉरी सत्य से दूर बातें बोल के
हो गया।
नहीं,
Don't disturb.
सत्य से अलग बोले तो क्या है?
सर
मैं क्यों
बोलिए
बोलूं?
सर, you have 2
नहीं, मैं
minutes.
क्यों? मेरे को जो भाषा आती है वही बात करूंगा मैं।
Honorable member, please
चलिए,
continue. You
आप
have 2
काम-
minutes left.
लेकिन उनसे भी बेहतर है। और दुनिया भर में योजनाएं 5 साल 10 साल के लिए बनती है, लेकिन आप तो केवल चुनावी योजनाओं के लिए ये जोर कर रहे हैं। और बजट में ये कहा कि पीएम गति शक्ति, वो बजट में क्या करना है कुछ नहीं बोले, लेकिन पीएम गति शक्ति क्या, इसमें एविएशन और जहाज, सारी चीजें आपने बोली, और पीएम गति शक्ति के तरफ ज्यादा ध्यान दिया। रेलवे के बजट के ऊपर और रेलवे को सुधारने के बारे में आप कुछ नहीं बोला। फिर दूसरी चीज जो हम आपके सामने ला रहे हैं कि बुलेट ट्रेन, मोदी सरकार पहले रेल बजट में 2014-15 में कहा 2022 में बुलेट ट्रेन चलने लगेगी। 14 सितंबर 2017 को इस प्रोजेक्ट का भूमि पूजन हुआ, लेकिन बुलेट ट्रेन का काम बैलगाड़ी के जैसा चल रहा है, इस रफ्तार में चल रहा है। 1,08,000 करोड़ रुपए की प्रोजेक्ट, इसकी टेक्नोलॉजी आप जापान से लोन ले रहे हैं, जापान से टेक्नोलॉजी ले रहे हैं, और ये जापान को खूब उसका पैसा मिलेगा।
Honorable LOP,
यही-
you'll have to move towards concluding.
Pardon?
You'll have to move towards concluding your speech,
नो
please.
नहीं, थोड़ा है 4 मिनट। देखिए, रेलवे मिनिस्टर का, मैं रेलवे मिनिस्टर से इसके बारे में आप देख लीजिए, क्योंकि 1,08,000 रुपए इसके लिए खर्च हो रहे। और पहले आपने क्या कहा था कि ये 2022 में चलेगा, और मैं जब रेल मंत्री था इस प्रोजेक्ट को वैयक्तिक रूप से इसको अपोज किया। क्यों अपोज किया? मैंने कहा कि 500 किलोमीटर रेल लाइन बनाने के लिए आप कितना खर्च कर रहे हैं? 1,08,000 करोड़। लेकिन आई अंडरस्टैंड, ये भी लोकसभा का क्वेश्चन ही है, उसी का मैं आपके सामने पेश कर रहा हूं। इन एन अनस्टार्ड रिप्लाई इन लोकसभा in 2015, government said that the cost of 1 kilometer of high-speed rail track is 100 to 140 crores, यानी 1 किलोमीटर के लिए। 2014-15 में 1 किलोमीटर के लिए
You'll have to conclude, honorable member.
नहीं, मेरे को तो टाइम दिया गया है 40।
आपका टाइम 40 हो गया, देखिए
नहीं, नहीं,
41।
मैं खत्म करता हूँ, 5 मिनट में खत्म करूँ।
5 नहीं सर, मूव टुवर्ड्स
देखिए,
कंक्लूडिंग।
14-15 को एक कॉस्ट 1 किलोमीटर के लिए क्या था, जो गरीबों के लिए आज हम जो ट्रेनें चलाते हैं वो रेल की, दैट इज राउंड अबाउट 10 करोड़। वो 140 करोड़। तो इसलिए मैं चाहता था कम से कम 11,368 किलोमीटर रेल बिछा सकते हैं। तो उसी लिए मैं भी उस वक्त इसको अपोज करा, लेकिन आपको मालूम है कैबिनेट में कौन सी भी चीज यूनानिमसली हो जाती है जिसका कोई हम बाहर बहस नहीं कर सकते। लेकिन ये प्रोजेक्ट को देख, क्योंकि वो शुरू नहीं हुआ था अभी, आप इसको रोक सकते थे और रोक कर 11,368 किलोमीटर इसको बना सकते थे, जिससे गरीबों को ज्यादा फायदा होता था। बहुत से एरिया में रेल ये चलते थे। और उसके बाद में मैं
Honorable member, kindly conclude.
नहीं, अब ये देखिए, मैं पहले ही बहुत से चीज़ों पे बोलने वाला था, इसीलिए चुप बैठा कि वो क्वेश्चन आवर भी चलने दो, वो भी चलने दो। अगर ऐसा टाइम बर्बाद होता तो मुश्किल था। लेकिन एक ही 2 चीज़ आपके सामने रखे मैं अपने भाषण को ख़त्म करूँगा, क्योंकि ये बताना ज़रूरी है कि आमदनी में भी काफ़ी गिरावट आई। एक तरफ देखिए 18-19 में 1,90,000 करोड़ था, 19-20 में यह कम होकर 1,75,000 करोड़ आया, और 20-21 ये तो छोड़िए, कोविड का पीरियड था, आप बोलेंगे कम हुआ। तो ये एक तरफ ये है। और आपके रिवाइज्ड एस्टिमेट्स में भी आपने जो सुधार के लिए पैसे लिए थे 25,000 करोड़ रुपए, उसमें भी आप 18,000 करोड़ खर्च कर किए हैं। तो पैसे रहते हुए एक तरफ खर्च नहीं, दूसरे तरफ आमदनी भी आपकी घट रही है, तीसरे तरफ आपके खर्च भी बढ़ रहे हैं। ये सारी चीजें क्या दर्शाती है? तो ज़्यादा आप लोग इस पे काम करना है, और हमारा जो रिसोर्सेस गैप है 31,814 करोड़ रुपए का, ये भी आपको इस गैप को मिटाना है। तो मैं आखिरी में यही कहूँगा कि जो ये पेंडिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, कि उस वक्त बहुत बातें करते थे जब इस सदन में या उस सदन में, भाई आपके सरकार में तो 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए के पेंडिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, आप कैसा करेंगे? क्यों आप वायदे करते हो? लेकिन साहब, आपके सरकार में 7,53,000 करोड़ की प्रोजेक्ट्स पेंडिंग में, उस वक्त टीका करते थे आप इतना पेंडिंग, तो वो पैसे कहाँ से आप लाएंगे, कब खत्म करेंगे? ये जवाब आपको देना है। और बहुत सी बातें और भी है, फिर जैसे ज़्यादा मैं नहीं बोलना चाहता हूँ कि रेलवे की जो हालत है ये बदतर मत करो, दिन पे दिन इसको नेशनलाइज, जो पब्लिक सेक्टर है, इस पब्लिक सेक्टर्स, एक मिनट, पब्लिक सेक्टर्स के रूप में रखो। और भारतीय रेल रोज 13,523 यात्री गाड़ियां हैं, 9,146 मालगाड़ियां हैं। तो इसकी लाइफलाइन जो बनी हुई है, मैं पहले कहा, इसको बरकरार रखना है। तो आप किसी की बात मत सुनिए, आप इवन मोदी साहब की भी बात मत सुनिए, क्योंकि रेलवे का सुधारना है। आप बोलिए, अरे कई बार ऐसा होता है जब आप आर्ग्यू करेंगे तभी वो
Honorable
सुनेंगे।
member, please
अगर आप
conclude.
आर्ग्यू नहीं करेंगे।
Honorable LOPG, kindly conclude.
नो, 1 मिनट। तो इसीलिए सर मेरा सुझाव है, गरीबों के हक में और बेहतर बनाइए इस रेल को, प्रयास कीजिए। स्टेशनों के नाम बदलने या अपनी फोटो लगाने से काम नहीं चलेगा। देश को
Thank you,
मजबूत बनाओ,
thank you.
रेल को मजबूत बनाओ, गरीबों को बचाओ और प्राइवेटाइजेशन मत करो।
Thank
ये
you,
कहते हुए
Honorable LOP.
धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Dr. Kanimozi, NVM Shomu.
Honorable Chairperson, thanks for the opportunity given to me to speak on the working ministry of the railways. I want to tell you one thing to our honorable members of this House. We all know, just a few years back and even now, only the railway tickets were for sale. But now, the railway department itself is for sale, madam. This union government has stuck to what it knows the best. Privatization and selling of the assets, DFC privatization, Concor disinvestment, railway station privatization, train privatization, the list goes on and on and on. Exactly.
No comments,
Selling
please.
from
No
railway
comments,
tickets
let us speak.
to the railway department. What a development we have. Thanks for the union government for selling the railway department. Respected Chairperson, Indian Railways is the fourth rail network in the world with a workforce of nearly 1.3 million employees. Remarkably, out of the 1.3 billion Indians, nearly 23 million passengers travel in 13,000 passenger trains across 64,000 kilometers of rail daily. The livelihood of crores of our people is dependent on the railways. Whether the union government is willing to unite this nation or not, the Indian Railways have been doing a noble job for the purpose for the Indians. The reason I mentioned did, which is in the past tense, because now the Ministry of Railways has also started spreading this union government's propaganda of social injustice, dominance and hate politics. Honorable Chairperson, few examples are, nearly 200 years ago, old organization has largely subsidized travel expenses for millions of Indians daily since independence. It offered concessions to 53 categories, including those for senior citizens, disabled persons, students, sports persons, and medical professionals, etc. But now it has all been withdrawn, no concessions to senior citizens, disabled persons, and students, as well as aiming for the profitability. Before independence, only the railways had worked for the main purpose, aiming profitability, but now the union government also for the same profitability they are aiming. Are we in a non-independence era? Can we call this as a social injustice? Honorable Chairperson, I request the Honorable Minister to consider resuming the concessions for at least the unreserved and the sleeper class passengers. Madam, I humbly remind the Honorable Minister of Railways that he is the chief representative for the PSU, which is in the Republic nation, and he is not a CEO of any MNC. In this place, I thankfully remind our Laluji, who was running this ministry for the poorest people of India, and at the same time brought a huge profit from the revenue of this department. Nowadays, we are widely talking about the awareness about the environment, but he was a leader who thought about the 15 years long ago. If my memory is right, he introduced the mud cups for selling tea in the railway stations. In
Kindly,
Laluji was also
you can
selling,
respond when you get the chance. You respond when you get the chance. Madam, you continue.
in my memory, if my memory is right, he introduced the mud cups for selling tea in railway station. In that way, Laluji was also selling tea in the railway station. Yes, he was selling tea in the railway station, but he never sold the railway department. Since it's a pride for me to thankfully remember our Bihari Dravidian leader, social justice warrior, Honorable Raluji now. Honorable Chairperson, we are aware that the food, clothing, shelter, and the basic necessity of any human mankind in this world. Every government has the duty and the responsibility to ensure that the people are getting these basic necessities to its fullest. Among the very few ministries, Railway Ministry has also the opportunity to serve the people with food, which is unique culture identity of any humans. But as of now, the Indian Railways is doing a major abuse on the people's cultural identity. To quote a particular incident, which has also come on all the social medias, people from my state traveling from Coimbatore to Chennai via the Shatabdi Express were imposed to consume foods like roti, shahi paneer, dal, datka, fatafat bel, and chana jur garam. Please correct me, colleagues, if I'm wrong in my pronunciation. Because these words are not coming in my mouth, and how do the people of my state eat this when they are traveling? We have our own foods like our idli, dosa, pongal, sambar, our own vada, which is a cultural identity. Then why are the foreign foods being imposed on our passengers? Likewise, the ministry is forcing their cruel propaganda on the people who have a unique cultural identity. These kinds of imperialist practices unleashed on the indistinctive identities of the state are antithetical and disruptive to any Indian unity. Can we say this as dominance? Chairperson, I have a long list which is much needed for Tamil Nadu. I just have a few to mention here, and I will give a separate request letter to the Honorable Minister. Kindly consider it. The long pending new railway line, the Rameshwaram Dhanushkodi project, the Madurai Bodinayakram doubling project, and the fourth line between Chennai Beach and Chennai Egmore, then the Pamban Bridge, all this, and the meager amount of rupees 303.42 crore has been allocated for various railways electrification works in Tamil Nadu, which is not sufficient for the progress of the electrification process. Madam, the following railway projects need the government attention and generous funding, but unfortunately the amount allocated in this budget were partly and insufficient. I urge the government to allocate substantial fund for the execution of the following railway projects: the Dindivanam-Senji Tiruvannamalai, the Dindivanam Nagari project, the Attipattu Podur project, the Erode Palani project, the Chennai Kadalur project, the Madurai Arupukottai Thoothukudi project, the Sri Peramathur Guduvanchari Avadi project, the Morapur Dharmaburi project, and the doubling project of the Katpadi Viluppuram section also. A meager amount of rupees 1.5 crore has been allocated to Salem Karur Dindikal doubling project as against the project cost of rupees 1,600 crores. There is no justification in this. Similarly, for the rupees 650 crore Erode Karur doubling project, the center has allotted only 1 crore. This is the third consecutive budget in which the center has given very meager funds to the Tamil Nadu projects. For Madurai Bodi Gorge conversion work, which has been going on for the last 10 years, the center has just allotted rupees 125 crore, and for the Vanchi Maniachi Nagarkoil doubling project, rupees 425 crore, and the Thiruvananthapuram Kanyakumari doubling project, 700 crores, which is still less. Honorable Chairperson, under the fund allocation for the new railways lines, Southern Railways has been granted a partly of rupees 59 crores for 11 projects, out of which 10 projects have been allocated only a token amount of rupees 1,000. Such a generous approval from the Railway Minister. This has been the case ever since this government has removed the standalone budget in 2016. In August 21, the central government launched the National Monetization Pipeline, NMP. Under NMP, the value of railways assets to be monetized is estimated to be 1.5 to a lakh crore. This union government, and it is about 26% of the value of the assets of the union government covered under the NMP. Again, why the service organization is a republic nation depend on the private players. Honorable Chairperson, the funniest part here is the ministry is not ready to allocate funds for the development projects which is initiated by the ministry itself, and at the same time, the railway minister is not ready to approve the proposal from the state government of Tamil Nadu, which is funded by the state government. Is this the ministry implicating stating that it is not ready to undertake or approve any kind of support of the development projects for the state of Tamil Nadu? Can we call this again as a hatred politics? Honorable Chairperson, for your kind note, one of the long-standing demands from the Delta districts of Tanjavur, the opening of a new railway line from Tanjavur to Pudukkottai, the survey for which had been completed and submitted by the British just before independence. Even few years back, a survey was done again, but it was shelved. If it is completed, around 60 kilometers will be reduced from Rameshwaram to Chennai in main line and also the fuel cost. This long-standing request of passengers from Rameshwaram is not only from Tamil Nadu, it's from all over India because people visit from all over India to that place. Respected Chairperson, Madam, Tamil Nadu people are totally dejected to see such a large-scale injustices done in as far as the railway needs to the state are concerned. Let me remind the Honorable Minister and this Union Government, we are not different from you. We are also MPs elected or nominated to serve the interests of the people. Just because you have numbers and the government today doesn't mean you have the right to have a vendetta against those who did not vote for you. Remember, power is not permanent. You shall reap your karma. Learn from our Honorable CM Tamil Nadu through M.K. Stalin, who works for the state of Tamil Nadu and not just for the people who voted for them. To protect this federal Indian constitutional structure, state autonomy should be protected, unique cultural identity should be valued, the need and the sensibility of the people should be honored. The present government and the minister should understand they are running a ministry in democratic republic nation. I would like to record this in the August House that Tamil Nadu is the second highest contributor to the central exchequer. Deserves better than this. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Shri Ayodhya Rami Reddy.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk on working of Indian Railways. Ma'am, as you are aware, we are all aware, Indian Railways is considered the backbone of our country, and rightly so. Its importance as a means of public service became apparent during the pandemic. The way Shramik trains were stranded for people to carry, also for food items, for medical supplies, oxygen, etc. And also railway coaches were converted into isolation wards. The railway employees served as frontline workers. So this great asset of our nation stood, when the pandemic came, it stood ahead of everything and really worked in the larger interest of our nation. 75 years of our independence. If you ask me, have we really given as much to this industry or to this sector? I don't think so. We just used this asset so far. The time has come for next 75 years, how we have to reshape this asset, our great national asset. We need to plan it now. I am sure the Honorable Minister, he himself is a technocrat. He understands the sector reasonably well. I am sure this government and this minister will give a direction and also a proper planning and a vision and a mission for next 75 years for this industry, for this sector. I have few suggestions and also few demands. My suggestion is to the minister, please come out clearly with the next 75-year plan, 25-25-25. Public-private partnerships. Please understand, railways are very conservative, very cautious. As I see them, on every front, even the PPP, they are never allowing the asset to completely sell out. They are giving only on the lease model, which means asset is, end of the day, it's going to come back. It's going to manage well. It's not that, it is going into some private hands, etc., etc. No. So let us all understand, this house we have to understand. If we have to take this country and this railways to next level, we need a lot of money. We also need a vision. We also need the right kind of models. Otherwise, next generations are not going to spare us. So, as I told, actually, we have used this asset for last 75 years. We have not given anything. Let us start working on that. These public-private partnership initiatives must be encouraged. You have to come out clearly with the deliverables around the infrastructure, digitization, technology, services, and the models in which you are going to ultimately give the value to the user. That is the Indian public. I am sure, you have to come out with the best of the consultants. Please bring in the best of the global practices and then come out with clarity. Indian Railways, when I see them, a very good talent, knowledge, and skill is there within the railways. But the point is, we have to now, most of it was done traditionally last several years. Now we have to come of age and we have to completely revisit, in taking this to the next level. Certainly the manpower also, when I looking at the future needs, one, technology, and secondly, manpower certainly need to be strengthened, and competent people have to be brought in. The newer technologies, when we see the high-speed trains, bullet trains, that is the order of the day. We have to certainly bring in, but let us see, techno-economically how they are going to be viable. I'm sure you have the competency to understand that. Then most of our railways have to be made green, environmental friendly on every aspect. We have to bring in the strategies and operational methods to see that all the entire railway aspect, the entire integration, and also all the stakeholders around railways have to be environmental friendly. And then long-term sustenance has to be brought in around every aspect that we are going to address around this. Sir, few demands. As you are aware, Andhra Pradesh is deprived on several fronts after its division. We have lost most of our assets. We want you to please help our state. Wherever we are losing out, this may not be the platform where I want to tell everything, but we have given a lot of submissions. Please note that the state is really losing out on several revenues. So kindly help on implementing our projects with innovative methods. Wherever our contributions have to brought in, we are getting, we have some problems we are facing. We want you to please look out, come out with new concepts, help. It will be win-win for both of us. Sir, especially the most important is South Coast Railway project. PM Gati Shakti was the highlight of the budget speech, focusing on driving economic growth through 7 engines, railways being one of them. Madam Finance Minister also mentioned that speedier implementation would be one of the focus areas. Sir, this is one area, ma'am, I want to help, in implementing projects. Railway certainly is failing on timely implementation of the projects. A separate, dedicated teams have to be brought in. Timely implementation is a must. We want you to look at it. I also want to say that under these timelines for the coastal railway zone, if you look at from 2014 June till now, it's just at the DPR stage. So very, very sad state. Kindly we want you to help. Dissolution of Walter division. Madam, this is one of the very important for the people of Andhra Pradesh. We request Walter division should be continued, and we want the railway infrastructure in Visakhapatnam has to be supported with the SCOR headquarters as well as the Walter division. And this will not involve any extra expenditure, ma'am, and we want this support to be given. vacancies in railways. We want, while the implementation thing can be taken up, but existing whatever the gaps are there in the recruitments must be taken up.
Reddy ji, kindly conclude.
Discontinuance of concessions for senior citizens. This is one important thing, ma'am. Through you, I wanted to convey to the minister, honorable minister, that kindly look into all the supports that were extended prior to COVID-19 must be reinstated. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Shri John Brittas.
Thank you, Madam. We have a concept for the railways, single largest public employer, the vehicle of economic growth, and virtually the artery of the nation. Sir, for last several years, because of the policy paralysis, policy somersault, unprofessionalism, and lack of finance, we have been depleting in this area. I don't want to elaborate on that because many members have already spoken about that. Sir, just to cite two statistics. In 1950, railway had 84% share in national goods transport. Now it is hardly 28%. Passenger transport is more pathetic. From 79% in 1950, it has come down to 12%. I'm sure that the minister will not oppose me on these statistics because he must be sure about all these facts and figures. Sir, we all talk about the social causes. And during the pandemic, the minister has been very benevolent. When I visited the minister, he was asking my chief minister, do you want any service from the railways? So what has happened? 2021-22, the passenger revenue increased by 191% as he hiked the rate fare by 200 to 350%. This is the service he gave to those hapless people who were trying to escape to their safe havens in their villages. Sir, Madam, I will just come to a topic which is obviously agitating the minds of an average Malayali. Last several weeks, one issue has been burning in Kerala, that is Kerala issue. And unfortunately, Prasanna Ajari, while he opened the discussion, he was telling about the Honorable Minister, a so astute, able, ebullient, erudite administrator. I also have my admiration for the minister. But last several weeks, in the context of Kerala, he has been cheering for the disruptors and jeering at the performers. This is what has been happening with regard to the performance or the attitude of the minister towards a very important project of Kerala. Madam, now let us come to this semi-high-speed railway. Many of the members who have been speaking have been arguing for such railway projects in these states, including Ashwini Vaishnav's very favorite state, that is Orissa. Madam, the cabinet, the union cabinet took a decision on 30th December 2015, that is government of Shri Narendra Modi. It said that here on the state should be partners for the railway projects. Developing the railway projects should not be the sole responsibility of the central government. The states have to come forward and to be collaborators of such projects. Sir, we are a poor state. We adhered to the decision of the cabinet. We signed joint venture with the railways. What happened, madam? Now they are saying that, look, we have several issues with regard to the project. They should realize the fact that the Silver Line is owned by not only Kerala government, it's also by the railway. They have 49% of the share in the joint venture. Now the minister is distancing away from the project and joining the disruptors to defeat this project. His every word and deed is adding fuel to the fire. He doesn't recognize that. And madam, he has been giving lengthy interviews to many newspapers and television channels. I have read diligently an interview which he had given to the Times of India. Our cardinal goal is to develop semi-speed and high-speed railway tracks in this country. Isn't Kerala Silver Line a semi-high-speed project which you should be supporting? Why you are opposed to it? Madam, while replying to the debate in Lok Sabha, I was carefully listening to the minister. He was saying that, see, he is concerned about the genuine environmental concerns attached to this project. How did he come to know that? Mr. E. Sridharan, the metro man, came and briefed him as part of the BJP delegation. All of a sudden, he got a revelation that the project has a lot of pitfalls, environmental issues. Doesn't he know the fact that the metro man, technocrat, is turned to be a BJP politician and a candidate in assembly and an aspiring CM candidate who already opened his office in Palakkad? Madam, I would invite attention of the Honorable Minister how his cabinet colleague, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, behaved when such delegations came and visited them. What did he do? Nitin Gadkari gave a patient listening to them, gave them vada pav and sent them back. He continued with the project. I expected Ashwini Vaishnawaji, the poster boy of this government, see, he is younger to me, though his hair is grey, but he is much wiser to me, I agree that. But I expected that he would give some, kya, प्याज की किचौड़ी देके उसको वापस भेजे. Instead of that, he has got a revelation that there are a lot of environment issues. Sir, Mr. E. Sridharan, when he drilled every mountain in the Konkan region, raised the hills, filled all the water bodies, he was called somebody who tamed the nature. See, now he is finding a lot of environmental issues. So what has happened to Konkan Railway, sir? Ashwini ji, you have been talking about the railway tracks getting submerged in the rains. What is happening to your Konkan Railway? Every monsoon you have a separate schedule. Tell me a day when exceptional floods were in Kerala. When was the track submerged? You had a complete lockdown of Chennai for almost 1 month. Don't you permit railway projects there? Should you play petty politics? Think about your predecessors. They all failed. That's why Modi ji brought you there. You also want to fail? History will not absolve you, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav. I am just cautioning you. I really want you to perform. You are such a person with high caliber. But you should not indulge in petty politics. That is the only issue. Sir, it's not personal attack. I am just responding to him. Now, sir.
Please conclude now.
I am just quoting a letter. Written by none other than the finance minister of this country. She sent a letter to my chief minister saying that, please move forward, engage JICA, finalize the designing of package which would facilitate co-financing, and in the meanwhile, land acquisition and other clearances may be expedited by the agencies. They don't even allow us to have a social impact study. There is a collaboration between Congress and BJP there. Both are hand in glove. Even Muslim League. Sir, this time he needs to...
He is on a point of order.
He is interrupting me.
He is on a point of order. He will have to.
I am not yielding. What is the point of
Don't do
order?
that.
Sir, he is part... He also has...
He is in a point of order.
ஆனால் நீங்கள் அறிவித்த அறிவிப்பிற்கு பிறகு நீங்கள் கொடுத்த ஆரவாரத்திற்கு செயல்வடிவம் கொடுத்தீர்களா என்பதை எண்ணி பார்க்க வேண்டும். இந்த அரசு மேக் இன் இந்தியா திட்டத்தில் தீவிரமாக இருக்கிறதா, எத்தனை திட்டமிடல்கள் முழுமையாக செயல்படுத்தப்பட்டன என்பதை விளக்க தயாராக இருக்கின்றதா, மேக் இன் இந்தியா திட்டத்தில் நாம் எந்த துறையில் முன்னேற்றம் அடைந்துள்ளோம் என்பதை நாட்டு மக்களுக்கு தெரிவிக்க இந்த அரசு தயாராக இருக்கின்றதா, எத்தனை உள்நாட்டு தொழில் முனைவோர்கள் பயனடைந்தார்கள், எவ்வளவு பணம் அதற்காக ஒதுக்கப்பட்டது, அதன் மூலம் யார் யார் பயனடைந்தார்கள் தெளிவாக விளக்குவதற்கு அரசு தயாராக இருக்கின்றதா? உள்ளபடியே இன்று நாட்டில் மேக் இன் இந்தியா திட்டம் இல்லை, சேல் இன் இந்தியா திட்டமே செயல்பாட்டில் இருக்கின்றது. நீங்கள் உருவாக்கவில்லை, மாறாக முந்தைய ஆட்சியாளர்கள் உருவாக்கி வைத்ததை விற்றுக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றீர்கள். ரயில்வே உட்பட